Hey guys, thanks for waiting. We're going to get going here in about 30 seconds. I just have to do one thing here real quick. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're having a great Tuesday. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me, or yes or no, sorry. Also my stream health for some reason here doesn't seem to be very optimal right now. I'm not too sure why. I was having this issue a few hours ago there when I did the quick market review during London Open. It's a little bit better, seems, on the YouTube platform that I'm streaming from, but my actual recording software on my system, it seems like it's giving me a red indicator, which means I'm not getting optimal stream health. So I'm just wondering if it's coming through okay on your guys' end. Just let me know there real quick. We're going to get started in 1 minute here. I just have to do one thing. Okay. Thanks for waiting, guys. Let's get fired up here. So we can see the. Now it's gonna. Sorry, 1 second. I'm not getting a good feed here for some reason. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Perfect. Are you guys getting buffering on your end at all? Not 100% sure why I'm getting this. That's odd. Okay, well, I'm going to get going anyway. I don't know what's going on with that. That's odd. But anyway, if you guys are having a hard time hearing me, or if it's a pain in the ass to watch it because it's buffering, just let me know. And I've got the chat up window up here, so just let me know. And Marcus, don't buffer here. Okay, thanks, Marcus. I appreciate that. I'll just keep an eye on that. If you guys, like I say, if you guys are experiencing buffering issues, then just let me know and I'll just restart the session and maybe that'll take care of it here. But anyway, let's get rolling here. So I mentioned yesterday that the US dollar index could poke down here, and it has done, and unfortunately it's going to take a full day for this candle to develop. But I'd like to start to see a reaction off of here and price start to reverse and go the other way if that is indeed the area that we are going to be headed. So it came down and swept these lows right here, and it actually got to get this one here. Whoops. Yeah, let's just get an exact figure here. So we got 90.03 is the low here, and so far the low here is 90.01. So it just scooped this low by about 2 pips. And I'm talking about this candle low right here. Now we've got this candle low here left, which comes in at 89.70 and 97. So I'm going to watch and see if there's a reaction off of this level here, if it wants to come down and sweep that, or if this is the end of this low and it wants to continue higher. So again, what I said last night is there's another area right here. You see this candle high here that comes in at 89.33. That could potentially be another target that price may want to be running for here. So I'm just going to put that in here, 99.33. And we'll have that marked out. So what I was mentioning last night during the London Open session was that if price wants to close down here, then obviously we're going to be going back and we could be challenging either this consolidation level in here, and we could see a bounce, or it wants to head down here. There were a couple of options for the US dollar to start continuing higher, and I showed you a couple of reasons for it. One, the Fed has increased their lending policy interest rates, and the there's, I believe, a quarterly shift that's been taking place, which is evident obviously because we are seeing this and not this happen. And then Trump has been getting on there, and he's been yapping about how the market needs to get stronger. U.S. dollar needs to get stronger, and so all of that coupled together, I think, is why we're starting to see this bounce ensue here off of this massive trading downturn that the U.S. dollar has had. So it's I mentioned that I'm short-term bullish just because we've had this break in price structure here, but really I'm not going to get long-term bullish until price breaks this high in here and we start testing these highs back up in here. So I want to see that happen before we get real long-term bullish, but you definitely got to watch for these pullbacks in the market, and if there's any support that gets noticed, like I say, at this level here, this could be another level down here where price could potentially bounce if it is indeed going to get higher. And if all of this breaks down here, then we'll be looking to retest these lows back down here. So that's what we got to watch for. Now, unfortunately, in terms of looking for a trade, we got to wait to see what this candle does. So I'm going to drill down a little bit further here and see. You see this low right here? I would be interested to see them breaking this low, and then, like I say, maybe potentially trading off of this small little area right here, this old high back here, and then seeing a bounce. What would, I guess, what could happen though is price could start reversing from here. I'm not trying to pick the bottom here by any stretch of imagination. Typically what happens is price will put in two equal trading ranges. So we could even see our price come down to here the next day or so before we see a bounce, if we do see a bounce at all. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but so I think we could go lower on the US dollar for sure, testing these lows here. Now, if price just, for instance, sits on it like, and let's just say, for instance, it doesn't want to go any lower. Let's just say it fails right where it's at here. I wouldn't want to be entering any positions until price did this. Just kind of a retest, a failure to go lower, and then trading higher. So price has to develop a little bit. Now, it is early in the New York session. CME Open doesn't even start for about another 5 minutes here yet. So we'll see what price wants to do. If it wants to start retracing and give us an entry, or if this is not the low and it wants to continue lower, it'll start driving down here in about the next 15 minutes or so for us. So we'll have to watch now. In the meantime, let's just bring up the news and see if they've changed anything. There wasn't any major news events happening today, other than a couple of small ones here and there. Just gonna bring this up here. So here's our economic calendar for the day. We've got some pound sterling news later this afternoon, some Aussie news, and that's really about it. We should actually get some pretty good news. There's actually some pretty good news coming up here for the Aussie later on this evening, so we could have a good signal, some good movement in this pair here. So I'll bring that up here in a minute, but we've got some FOMC stuff coming up as well too. Sorry, this past. This already happened here about almost coming up on an hour, 45 minutes to an hour ago. And that's really about it. There's really nothing else happening here. There's some Canadian dollar news, but I don't think that's going to do too much to the market. And that's about it for today. It's a fairly quiet day on the economic news front. Going into Wednesday, there's a lot more activity happening here, so we could see, and now we've seen some decent movement on the US dollar, obviously, but there's some non-farm news coming out. There's some Canadian dollar news, crude oil inventories, obviously I discussed, so we could see a lot more action happening tomorrow as well too. So I'm just going to get rid of this here, and I'm going to put a marker on this low here, get rid of this. Again, this may not happen. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that this is the low, but if it was, again, this is what I would want to see happen, and then we'd look at potentially getting long down here. Not long on the US dollar, but I mean, we'd be taking trades in foreign currency pairs based on that price rejection there. So I want to see what, again, I want to watch price develop a little bit further here before we start looking at any trades. But this was a nice this was a nice drop down in price, coming down, scooping up all of the sell stops right in here. And again, there's a little pocket of price area down here that kind of interests me right below these lows. And that would also kind of correspond, if they did get a sweep, it'd be about a 10 pip sweep or so, 10 to 15 pip sweep to kind of come down into the small consolidation range in here, which would make sense. If they did want to drive it down one last time, that's where they'd be headed. It's all a fairly balanced price range in here. This was traded very, very efficiently, so I don't see price needing to reach down into this area here. But not to say that they won't do it. If you look too, this kind of looks a bit kind of like a head and shoulders pattern as well. The shoulder, left shoulder here, the head, and then the right shoulder in here, and then the breakdown could be ensuing right now. So we'll have to watch this. Anyway, enough on the US dollar. Let's flip over to the Euro USD. Had a nice push up, obviously, as well, that we can that was expected with the drop in the US dollar, and this just happened here too. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, go down to 15. So this just happened here about 2 hours ago, and yeah, we actually put a signal out on this one. It got tagged. It ended up getting stopped out. Just got stopped out here not too long ago by a couple of pips. Unfortunately, we're going off of a short into this area in here, and price just didn't want to relax at all. It just wanted to keep pushing up, and so far we are now sitting right there where it's just failed to take out this high here. And as I say, I don't necessarily know that this is going to stop right here. There's some areas above here where I'm kind of thinking they may want to run price up to, as well as another level to watch. So there could be potentially some more range left into this before it's done. So I'd like to see price trade down a little bit here. We could potentially get in for a long, and maybe we could look at one of these areas for a target. This is a little bit sloppy in here though, so I'm not really too keen on this, on the euro right now. Some nice balanced price range in here. Like I say, consolidation price traded up into it. So this consolidation area here have traded up into it nicely, and again, we're pretty much right at the mid-range of this, so pretty close to it anyway. We're a little bit higher. Here's the mid-range right here. So I kind of want to see what happens if price, whoops, didn't mean to do that. If price wants to, we're in here. If price is going to go higher, I'd want to see, like on a daily candle, price close above here, and then same type of idea as the US dollar. If we close lower, zoom in here a bit. If this candle closes lower and stays as this bullish candle here, then we should start to trade down from there. But if it wicks through, then we're going to continue to trade higher. It can be the same thing. Euro USD is just the exact mirror opposite of the US dollar for the most part. You can see how we came down here and just grabbed the stops here, and price hasn't looked back since. Kind of leads me to believe that maybe we could see higher prices, and price could even come up on the daily if we don't see any rejection at this level here, 124.50 level. Then again, we're going to go back and test these highs here, and then this was just a liquidity stop rate and the ultimate goal going higher. And we've been talking, I know, sorry, the charts here, let me just clean this chart up a little bit. These levels back up in here are pretty interesting as well too. I think we are going to see price trade ultimately higher up into here, and I kind of wanted to see a little bit further pullback, but this candle right here, that may be all we're going to get, because price is now convincingly trading nicely up into this area here. So this could have been it, which, like I say, it would have been nice if price traded back down into this area or into here, and then we could have got long and had a nice kind of swing trade up into these areas. And this is, you know, I don't think price is going to get up here tomorrow or anything like that, but that would have been, you know, a nice, 1,200 pip trade that you could have sat through. But I definitely think it's going higher long term. So I thought we were going to see a bit deeper of a pullback, but it is what it is. We're not there yet. Price still really has a long way to go just to convincingly, it's got to close up through here before we're going to worry about those highs up there. But like I say, we came down and we swept the low here, and I'm kind of thinking that this might want to continue higher. From its current location. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of, unless the US dollar completely rejects, right? I don't think we're going to see price close lower and want to trade lower back down into here yet. So if price breaks this, see this candle here, if price breaks this candle here, then obviously we're going to be going lower. Hasn't done that yet. It had the chance to do it on this guy right here. It failed to do so and pushed higher. Now, don't forget, we have some major news happening at the end of the week. That could be the news driver that sends this thing plummeting down. So we've got to watch for that. But I don't see anything on the euro that piques my interest right now. This is interesting, though, actually. On the week, I'm on the weekly, sorry. I'm not on the euro GBP. This is actually kind of interesting, though. this Euro GBP cross. Typically, if this pair is running higher, the Euro USD is going to run higher as well too. It's been in this massive consolidation range, so they've been all they've been doing is manipulating price between the euro dollar and the pound. So if this is ripping higher, the Euro USD is going to be ripping higher as well too, and you can see that there. But now you look at this candle, a bit of rejection on this candle right here. So if this fails to post any higher, then this could drive and starts to drive lower. And what it's going to do in turn, it is going to also drive the Euro USD lower as well too. So just keep that in mind. Now again, if this is just going to continue to be a big bullish candle down, and the next one's going to be the same thing, and we're going to start pushing price down into here, the US dollar is the king, and that's going to then push this thing higher, regardless of what this wants to do. And all they're going to do is manipulate this pair here. So if they start trading this lower, then two things could happen. One, Euro USD probably isn't going to be dropping, and they may just consolidate it, and then they'll end up letting the pound dollar catch up on a run higher. So you got to watch for that as well too. But prices coming into some pretty significant areas on this as well too. I mentioned these lows in here, this consolidation level, are of interest. We actually got a trade off on Friday. I believe, no, when was that trade? Sorry, I'm ahead of myself. We actually got a trade off, a short signal off on Monday, and this is going to drive me crazy. I gotta get this line straight here. There we go. Okay. We put a short signal in on the pound dollar, right into, I think it was right here, based on the lows getting tagged and then price dropping. Now we can see here, I was thinking, well, if price trades off of this level here and it fails and we get a short position in to coincide with a push higher in the dollar, this was my analysis last night. Obviously, it rejected that and on this candle right here, so that would negate the trade. You wouldn't take a short there or anything like that because price did not obey what we wanted it to do. And then it kind of just did a sort of a break, a retest, and then a bust trade out. So and now we're trading back up into this consolidation area in here. So now we've got to watch on the daily. We're just kind of tagging off of these lows here. If we trade any higher and close higher, then we're going to keep running up on this. Now, if you're a trend line trader, there's also something else here that you could watch, and that's this as well too, that we could be banging off of a potential resistance level here. Now, again, there's a lot more technical indicators that I use for price. Other than these things here, I don't use those, but if you're a retail trader or a trend line trader, you could look at that and say, well, we could be potentially hitting a very significant area. I'm more so going off the lows of this consolidation area here as a potential catalyst for a reversal. And I could be wrong as well too. What we may see is price just continue to rip higher. So if we don't see any rejection on the US dollar, then you know, we're going to see higher prices on the pound dollar, so, and the Euro USD potentially. So it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen at this level right here. See this low here. I want to see if price has a willingness to go higher than that. Get rid of some of this stuff here. Wow, I cannot get this damn trend line straight. Sorry guys. Come on. There we go. So I want to see what happens at this. Sometimes they just like to fill in this price range here and then continue lower. So if that is the case and we start to see some rejections, maybe we could potentially get in on a long position. We'll just drop down to an hourly chart here. Again, same type of area, the high on this candle here, and then we could push higher. Now, the other thing too you got to watch is obviously if you look at price action in here, let me run down to a forward. They keep dropping the price, and they haven't come back for any of these levels in here. So price has created a high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Right, again, could this be the lower high here? And then all they wanted to do was come up to this area here where people would naturally be putting their stops after the last drop and tagging those, and then just running price lower from here. You know, that is an option as well too, right? So it's not necessary. Markets right now just aren't at an area where I can safely say, let's get into a trade and let's get, you know, like I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to pick the top and suggest that price isn't going to go any higher here and we can get into a short. And alternatively, I can't say I don't want to get into a long position here because of I mean, this is just a nice run up in price. And if it is the high and you get into a long thinking, well, price is going to come up to here, or, you know, wherever, then you're just going to get stopped out. So it's kind of at an ugly spot right now, unfortunately. So we got to just kind of wait and watch price develop here for the next little while. And don't forget, the New York session just started as well too, so it's still early. There's plenty of time for price to develop, and there's no need to rush anything here. So we got to see what this candle wants to do here. I'll be with you guys here for probably about another half an hour, and that'll give us a chance to really see price develop here a little bit more, so we can see what it wants to do. Now with the pound dollar, again, a couple areas. One would be this old high rate here, getting tagged, and a potential reverse and a run higher if it is going to want to go higher. And I'll pick up some levels in here for some potential targets. And then the second one, again, like I say, is this high right here. Price may want to come down to there and then reverse off of it again if we are going to go higher. Some areas I'd be interested in looking at for a target would be up here. This whole consolidation area right here would be a good target. And this isn't a huge range or anything like that. I mean, we're only talking about a 75 pip range, so it's not like it's, you know, massive, but easily attainable at the time of day that we're in for the New York session. You can see here price just nicely running up and respecting these. You see how price, you know, created a lower or higher low here, created a bunch of higher lows here, higher low, higher low, higher low. It has not been willing to come back down and take any of these stops here, so it's quite interesting though. If they wanted to bring price up there, that high, I didn't think they were going to get up there, all the way up there, but it is what it is. Took out the stops here, and now they're bringing her back down. I just want to see how deep they want to go. So we'll come back to this one here in a minute. U.S. yen. I kind of figured there's an area of resistance up in here that I'd be interested in seeing price bounce at, but really no trade on the yen right now. Price has come down nicely. Had tagged off a pretty significant area, that's 105.50 level in here, and I wanted to see a bounce, and potentially we've seen that bounce, and I want to see failures in this area here, so price wicking, and then we can potentially get a short in there. Let's drop down a little bit. This isn't actually my pair. I've got another analyst who works this pair. I think price could potentially go up a little bit higher from here. We've got some areas in here that prices have failed to get to yet. So I'm just going to mark that out on the chart here. So you see these lows in here. We've failed to get up to those so far. So I want to see if price has any interest in getting up there potentially running this high here and then dropping. May not do it. This could be the failure swing right here, and then we could see lower prices. But you know, again, with the strength of the with the decline of the dollar, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is going to be the highs that it's putting in yet. It just kind of makes me a little bit nervous to say, well, let's just get in short right here, because price could easily come back up and run these highs here back into here, and potentially even up into these areas in here before it rolls over, if it does roll over at all. So I'm gonna hesitate to put anything out on this one yet. Again, want to see price develop a little bit further. We're still brand, you know, New York session just opened, so I want to see what it wants to do here yet. US CAD finally had a nice rejection off of here, and I was mentioning yesterday that I don't want to be buying US CAD up here. I want to see price retrace. It's done that. So again, don't know if the low is in, but that was a nice rejection right here. So I want to see this happen, right? Remember, kind of the same sort of idea as this. You see this here? Price come down, retest, and then run higher, retesting off these old lows. It's done that. Now I want to see it on the lower time frame. I want to see price try to come down, fail, and then run higher, and then we could target you know, these highs up here. Don't know if it's going to do it today. It could be an inside trading day today. If it wants to do this at all, it could just be running back up to here and then to drop lower and then take out this low as well too. But price did trade lower than these guys here. Got all that liquidity down there nicely. So we're gonna have to wait and see again. Sorry I keep saying that, guys, but price is just sort of at one of those points right now where this could be the low on the US dollar. I don't know. I want to see price confirm that it is. And we should start to see if there's some rejection at these levels here. If price busts through this level here and wants to trade higher, then we can start looking at getting into some positions. But if it comes back down, then I want to see if it wants to react at this level here, or if it wants to just keep going lower. So that's kind of what we're waiting for here. Right now, so there's no need to rush or anything like that. There's plenty of trades. It's only Tuesday. I do, however, want to let you know, and if you don't already, which you should, just because of all of this news here on coming up on Friday. Obviously, we don't want to be trading on Friday because the markets are going to be pushed around quite a bit. So we want to make sure that we stay out of Friday. And Thursday typically isn't a good day to trade as well too, because you usually see price building up to the non-farm events on Friday, and it typically just consolidates. So your best days of trading are today and Wednesday. So we're going to be looking for put-outs trades here today and tomorrow. But again, as I say, I don't want to rush anything yet. I want to see what price does here before we get into anything. Great reaction on the US CAD. It's a 50 pip rejection so far. I kind of like that. I'd like to actually see price pull back here a little bit and then potentially see it go longer. I mean, that'd be a hell of a trade, and I'd have my target actually would be right here, these highs here. I'd be about another 50 pips. Let's say we got a push back down and then a failure, taking potentially a long down in here if it is a failure run. That could be a nice 70 pip run on the US CAD. That'd be a great haul, great pip range on the day. Again, not going to get long right here just because I'm not trying to pick this as a bottom, although it would have been a nice area to get long at, that's for sure. Quick run on these levels right there. But again, with the failure of the USD, it kind of makes you nervous to get long on something like that when the US dollar's screaming down like this, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, that's a good time to get long, and then price just continues to scream down lower. And I've been into those positions before, and I'm speaking from experience where you just on something move like this, you don't want to get in its way. You want to let it finish before you get down and you get a position off, because price oftentimes will just keep continuing lower. You think this is the low here, and yeah, it's at a logical level, and so okay, well, let's get long, and then all of a sudden it just keeps going down to the next level, and then you're trapped in the trade. You do not want to be part of that situation at all. And there is some levels down under price under here, and even right into here. This small consolidation in here, where price may be heading for as well too. So by no stretch of the imagination do I think that this downward move is over yet. We're gonna have to watch that still a little bit. So okay, Aussie dollar. I actually put up an idea yesterday. It was kind of at a nice logical level here. Price had given us a couple of wicks on these candles here, or potentially some tweezer tops. I'd like to see price drop, and it was dropping. It was right about here when I mentioned it, I think, for the London Open session, or maybe in here somewhere. And price did drop a little bit, but then obviously with the US dollar dropping, this thing ripped higher. So again, came into a nice level, actually, a very, very logical level for a reversal. This old consolidation level in here, these old lows, and has reversed. So that's kind of nice to see. There's a lot of areas in here that lead me to believe that this hopefully is the last of the drop, and we're going to see price run higher. But pound dollar did the same thing, came to this old consolidation level and reversed. Or sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Coming to this consolidation level here, and we're potentially seeing a reversal after it ran the stops here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. I'd love for this to be the high here, and then we can get all over a bunch of shorts. But again, I got to see that breaking price action. So I'd like to see price, if price pushes down through here, then we can look at getting short on a short retracement, or I'd like to see a failure swing like this. Price comes up to here, fails, and then goes lower from there. Or if it does this, right, comes down, and then we get a bounce off of this small consolidation level in here, and then does this. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So unfortunately, we're going to have to watch price develop a little bit further before we can do this, obviously. But that's kind of the idea that I'm looking for. So, and it might not do that at all. It might just go screaming straight back down where it came from as well too. So Bitcoin. What did we do here on Bitcoin? Totally failed. Ran through that gap. I was mentioning that I wanted to see this gap fill here and then a run higher. Filled the gap and then again failed. Came right down. It's interesting. It just really does not want to get this this 1200 level up in here. It's really fallen off. It's either doing one of two things. It's building up some sentiment in here, and everyone's thinking that price isn't going to go higher, and so everyone's jamming their stops up here and going short and riding this out, which today they would have been right, or they're just getting more positions in here for them to reverse it and to run higher and grab a ton of liquidity above here. But that's a nice failure swing. They're probably going to want to run out these lows here. I know there's a couple of you guys that follow Bitcoin very, very closely. So I'd be looking at targets there, and then this old high right here as another potential target if they're going to want to continue to take this thing lower. That's where kind of my eyes would go, and then if that gets run out, then there's a beautiful action, that's some price action back here, very, very thinly traded price back in here, which I think could be a draw on price if they want to continue to take it lower. I'd be surprised if they want to go that low. You see if I got marked out here, and then here, and then here. So long term, down to here. But I don't know, failure swing, failure swing, failure swing. I think if they are going to want to go lower on this, I think they'd want to come up and take the liquidity above here first before they really sunk it. So this could just be, a motive wave down for them to grab up some longs and then run it higher before they drop it again. So you got to watch for that. But some nice price action on Bitcoin today, that's for sure. Now the other thing I mentioned too is you typically have symmetrical price movements. The other thing that catches my eye here is we're kind of come up into that symmetrical price movement as well too. Could have a little bit lower to the downside. Like I say, it might want to grab this level down here, but I'd watch price here that it doesn't want to reject and then start running higher as well too. And I'm not a big practicer of the Elliott wave. I just have seen it fail way too many times for me to be comfortable. But if there are any Elliott wave traders out there, this could be the third motive wave down with the fourth coming in and the fifth running the stop, and then an ABC correction higher. So just keep that in mind. Alternatively, this could have been it as well too. You see price motive wave 1, 2, motive wave 3, 4, 5, and then an ABC correction again. Just right for them to grab the stops under here and then run it higher again and continue with the overall trend direction. So again, I'm not much of an Elliott wave trader myself, but there are theories out there that support it in some cases. But I'm mainly looking at them just running out the stops here. And if they want to reject, if they kind of want to come down, like let's just say they keep dropping this candle. So if they want to do this, come down, drop it, grab the stops, and then reverse and then run higher. If they want to close lower than here, then I'd be interested in seeing them bring it down to here, into this level here. So we'll have to watch for that to happen. Again, I don't want to take any trades where price is currently at right now, just because it needs to develop a little bit further, in my opinion. How's my stream health, guys? I'm getting two big flashing red indicators on my screens here saying my stream health is not very good. And I don't know why. So if it's buffering a little bit for you, I apologize. I might have to switch my my wireless routers. Maybe I can get onto a better wireless router here feed, but all right, where are we here? US dollar. Let's go back to this quick. Yeah, a little bit of rejection here. So I want to see if they want to keep running this down or if they want to continue higher. Again, sorry guys, I don't have a crystal ball. I'd love to tell you that this was the high and let's get short and get all over this. It is suspect. Now there's a couple of things as well too in terms of time of day. So if we're going to see, let's say this is the low. Typically Monday or Tuesdays are going to create the low of the week. So this was Monday's trading, which was basically straight sideways. Tuesday's trading, let's just say this is the low of the week here. Sorry, I should say typically what price does is creates the low of the week Monday or Tuesday. And then if it's going to trade higher, then it'll start doing that after the New York Open creates the low, and then it'll start trading higher from there. So again, this candle here, I'd like to see if it wants to fail right here, then that could be the low that's been put in, and then we can look at potentially getting opposite trades on foreign currency. So I just kind of want to watch price develop here for just a second, if you could bear with me, and it'll give me time to screw around with this stupid trend line that drives me crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to watch this price develop here for just a second. But again, if that theory is correct, if this does put the low in the day, I'd want to see this candle fail. And then we're going to be targeting these lows up in here as our first target. Now again, this may not happen this week. Price getting up to here. I'm just going to put a little, so you see this consolidation range in here. I'd be interested to see price trade back up to there as a potential target for the rest of the week. And for sure, before we get up there, we got to make sure that price convincingly, breaks this consolidation range in here. So I'll talk about that when it gets up to there, if it gets up to there. But that's what we need to see first happen. So price is kind of starting to come down into the area now. Let me just kind of watch this here for a second. And so if that's the case, obviously we'd have a short trade here. Dropping down to the 15-minute here. And potentially price could run back up here, right? Retest this low here and then fail. There could be a potential for a short there. Anything on the yen? I see the yen is rejecting quite a bit. See how there is a failure swing here? And now the yen itself, the yen futures contract, showing a bit of strength overall. Just actually bring up a chart of that real quick here. Give me a second, guys. We got a few minutes here to watch price anyway develop, so it's not like there's a big rush on anything. I just want to bring up a futures contract. For the yen. Let's see. What are we trading here? Is the May contract? Unchanged. There we go here. It's going to be the March contract that we're in. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry, I missed the... talking to myself here. Sorry, guys. So you can see this is a contract on the Japanese yen. You can see very, very bullish in here, and I'm just going to bring up one other quick study here. Don't need the volume. That's interesting. They're selling this pair off right now. And price is kind of coming up into a very, very significant area of resistance though as well too. But you can see that again the strength on this pair here since the January 1. It's been very, very bullish. Price came up, took out all the liquidity up here. And it's going to be interesting to see if they want to get through this consolidation area here. So basically what I'm driving at here is the yen pair here. Oops, US yen. Are we seeing, see here's that strength. It's going to be the opposite because the US dollar is the front currency pair. You can see that strength here. But now we are coming up into a very, very significant area of resistance here. Support here. So if we're going to see a bounce, it's going to happen at this level here, this 105.50 level, which price did come down. It double tapped it, swept the lows here, rejected, and now we're trading higher. And so we're on a daily candle right now, but So far, a little bit of indecision whether they want to take this thing higher or drop it lower with today's trading. Now, this was Monday's trading, which, you know, nice rejection off that level. It'd be interesting to see if they want to start taking it up into here, but kind of ugly in here right now. You don't really want to get messed up into this range too much on this pair. There's a logical level up here that you could have got short at, but now that they've rejected these levels down here, kind of leads me to believe maybe they want to start taking it a little bit higher. And again, on that futures contract, it does look like there are some signs that they could be selling this thing off. And I'm talking about the large commercial traders, you know, banks and such, that they could be taking some profits here and selling into this rally, which would mean price would drop lower. What would negate that is if price started to trade again through this consolidation range here, then we'd start looking at price come back up into this range here. But this is a 5-year chart. Keep that in mind, okay? So again, this is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It would probably take months for this to develop, but that's kind of what I'm looking at here. If price is going to reject, it's going to do it right now at this level. And if it's going to want to continue bullish, then it's going to run higher. But again, looks like the commercials are starting to sell this thing off a little bit. They are technically still bullish on this pair, but on this currency, I should say. But anyway, that's the end. I don't know why I kind of got off into a little bit of a tangent there. Sorry if you guys are bored sitting there watching me do this. Kind of talking to myself and doing some self-analysis here. Okay, where are we at here? Price is driven through that level now, and we're going to retest these lows here. So I want to see again, I want to see this candle close, closing in about another 3 minutes here. So are we going to fail to come back down below this low? Is it going to stab through and reject and then run higher, or is it going to close lower and then we're going to see lower prices? So that's kind of what I'm looking at here right now on the US dollar. So let's just, if you guys can hold on here for another little bit, I want to see what price is going to do here. If you guys have any questions as well too, in the meantime, just throw them up in the chat there, and I'll do my best to answer them. Marcus, thanks for confirming that again. Appreciate that. So far, it's not showing a lot of willingness to go down. Came down a little bit lower than what I would have liked it to, but that still doesn't mean that it's not going to reject. I'll go down to 5 minutes. I want to see something here. Yeah. We're just sort of trading right between two ranges right now. So sorry if you guys are watching this. Like I say, it's not too exciting. This candle's going to close here in about a minute, so I just want to watch this here for another second. See what it does. You see the same thing on the euro. Could potentially see rejection on it. Again, I'm not trying to pick the high or anything like that. I'm just saying that if it's overall in the theme of where I want to see price go, then okay, the candle just closed here, so far it hasn't shown any willingness to go higher yet, but we could have another drive higher here. This candle just closed, so it could be a failure swing. But I want to see if this wants to drive down again, and it looks like it is. So far, a little early to tell. Look at the difference between the euro here and the pound dollar. Not as much willingness to go and close higher on this, is there? You can see price is a little more willing to push higher on this pair and retest that old high, versus the pound dollar. It stabbed up once and then so far it's rejected, which is interesting as well too. Now that could, again, just going back to the Euro USD, the Euro GBP, this thing's in a massive consolidation here. Again, I was talking about that earlier. But on the day, what's going on here? Yeah, see on the day how we're getting a lot of these wicks up in here. Wick. Price is kind of coming into a logical area of rejection. You see these candle highs in here starting to reject. So if price is going to push lower on the Euro USD, it would start doing it now, type of thing. We're starting to see some rejection here. I'll be honest with you. So, a couple of things. I don't know how aggressive of a trader any of you guys are. Myself, I'm in no rush. But when I first got started out in trading, I was very, very impatient, and I was honestly taking. I do 10 trades a day, just short-term scalps, trying to get in and out of the market, timing the market, and it wasn't working for me very well. So it kind of led me to realize that you need a lot of patience when trading. Sometimes it's like watching paint dry. Unfortunately, and this is just sort of one of those times where, one second, guys. Sorry, I just had to grab a sip of water. This is sort of one of those times where you need to exercise patience when trading, because price isn't giving us a clear sign of whether it wants to continue higher or drop lower. So far, I like the odds that this thing could potentially drop lower, just because this candle has pierced through and rejected and has failed to trade higher than this guy here. But really, the next couple of candles are going to tell. And if this low here starts to get busted through, God, I don't know why I'm having such a problem with these stupid trend lines. If price wants to trade lower than here, I'd be interested in potentially getting short at the level here. Same sort of thing with the the pound dollar. If price trades lower than this area in here, come on, you give it to me. And again, it could be doing it right now as well too. This could be the break-in market structure right here that I was looking for. In which case we could potentially target, these highs here. This is again nice range from here. If you got a short there, it's 25 pips. It's nothing to get upset about. And potentially these lows here. I don't know if we'd get all the way down there today. Because price has posted a fairly nice run. So let me just put the day dividers on here so you can see. This was London. This is the new day, I'm sorry. This was the start of London Open in here. And from there to there, that'd be 80, 90 pips. So we'll see. But it's going to do it. It's going to start rejecting it pretty quick here and getting through this level. Back to the USD. Still not convinced yet that it's a failure swing. So again, I really like to trade. Back to what I was saying about patience and being aggressive and everything else. I used to be a very impatient, very aggressive trader, and I would have been all over this. Like 2 years ago, I would have been long. As soon as I saw this wick in here, price run back up and come down and wick right here, I would have been all over this long and thinking, let's get higher. Or sorry, I guess technically it would be here. I don't trade the US dollar, but I'd be getting short right up in here. But I don't know. Price just to me doesn't seem, not 100% convinced that we're not going to see another leg higher yet. And I want to see these lows broken if we are going to go higher. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'd like to see these lows broken if we are going to go lower. I gotta get some coffee in me as well too. I've been up since about I'm in the North America here, and so it's on Mountain Standard Time is my trading time, so it was fairly early in the morning when I got up this morning watching markets, and then I had to wait for New York Open to happen, and so it was kind of tough keeping myself awake there for a little while. I went to bed early last night, but I typically only get about 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, myself personally, and for whatever reason, kind of wearing on me today. Need to get some coffee though. And I'll tell you, if I don't see price start to do something here pretty soon, I'm going to go and do that, because this is, like I say, kind of like watching paint dry. Sorry guys, sometimes trading's exciting and there's a trade right then and there, but and the other thing too, guys, if you guys see something, like if you see a trade, or if you not a trade, if you see a pair that you're curious about or that you trade regularly, that you want some more information on, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to bring that chart up and discuss it with you guys. Like I said, we've got a little bit of time while we're waiting here for price to do its thing, so I'd be more than happy to entertain some other charts here. Aussie, see the same thing, it's kind of failing so far to break this low, which kind of leads me to believe that maybe it might push higher up into this area here, or even it could even just retest this old high here. Bitcoin, what are we doing here? So far, not too much, just sitting there. Ethereum finally kind of broke out to the short side here. Again, I think this is going to be in conjunction with the. Let me get rid of this here. So this Ethereum chart here. I know there are some crypto traders, so I'll do my best to analyze these markets, and I had a request to put this on here. I typically only did Bitcoin up until this point, and I just recently added this chart as well too, as this being one of the major cryptos that gets traded on a regular basis. The good news as well too is, and I mentioned this earlier in another session, I don't know who you guys trade with, but my particular broker here has just added several options for cryptos. We have Ripple, obviously Ethereum, Litecoin, Dashcoin, sorry that garbled on my end, and obviously Bitcoin. So which is nice because you can trade these now on an MT4 platform. And in terms of ease of trading for me, it doesn't get any easier than trading on MT4. I've traded on several other platforms, you know, Interactive Brokers, Questrade, you know, you name it. I've traded it, and by far, in my opinion, MT4 is the easiest one to trade off of. However, the only problem with MT4, depending on your broker, you don't necessarily get the best entries and exits. Sometimes there's fairly large spreads on them, so you kind of got to watch some of that. But Ethereum so far has not necessarily shown, it's shown a nice breakdown. Again, coincides with Bitcoin fairly closely. I think Bitcoin is obviously the king of the market, and all the other cryptos sort of trade based on what that's doing as well too. It's not my day to get straight lines for whatever reason. But I think, again, we could have a bit of a failure swing in here. Price so far has failed to get higher than these highs here. And price has, again, just sort of been stair-stepping down. And we could start to see lower prices on this. For sure, I think they're going to want to come for these lows right here. I'm going to get a straight line here right now. Oops. Let's just do this. The price has a couple of equal lows right in there. I think those are going to be the target. If we don't see a reaction at this level right here, then that's going to be the target, the short-term target in the next day or two, where they're going to run price. And then if that gets taken out and they don't want to reject and go higher, then I'd be kind of looking at the bodies of these candles as my next target, and seeing if they want to just sort of wick down into it here and reject. And if that happens and they actually close lower, have a candle that closes lower than those lows there, then we're coming down to here. Now, we should see, if price is going to react, we should see price react pretty much right at the levels it's at right now. So if it's going to go run higher, it should start to run higher now. And again, if not, then I'm going to want to run those lows. So just watch for that. But really, not much to trade here. Again, we were in this tight consolidation range on this thing, and there's really, this is ugly trading in here. So I wouldn't be too excited about doing anything in there. But we're kind of right now at an inflection point where if we start to see a bounce, it should happen pretty quickly here. If not, then they're going to want to come down and take those out, so you can watch that. I'm not going to put a signal out on this one, just because you could trade the bounce. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think they probably will bounce at this level here. He could trade a bounce and potentially have a target, you know, up into here, and maybe even up into this consolidation area here. That might be an option as well too, but I'd want to see what happens as price develop a little bit further before I did anything on that one. Okay, still not doing much here. I'm going to skip over to crude oil real quick. And just so you guys know, I'm not going to be on this session for too much longer. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. I'm just not seeing any great trades opportunities yet. So if you guys are a member, look at pound dollar pushing up now here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to look. Let's say, for instance, price is going to continue higher. That's obviously the first target, 39.50. And if I want to break that level, this high here would be next, and that high comes in at 139.95. So 139. So basically 140. That would kind of be a bit of a stop run. So it'd be about a 5-pip stop run. So those would, if price wants to continue higher, those would be the two targets I'd be looking at. Don't know if it'll do it today, because again, price has had a nice, and that's a 100-pip range on this today. Might get 50 pips though, which would be this target right here. If it's going to do it, it's got to break this candle convincingly, and then we could potentially look at getting along. I'm not real keen on the longs though, and only because, again, well, here we go. Now it's starting to break lower. Okay, so where are we going here? These lows here are going to be a target, and then this high here. So just borrow this guy here, 89.30 level, somewhere in and around there. That would be a good target. And what are we trading right now? 89.48. Oh, buggers. They really didn't want to trade that too much lower, did they? You know, sometimes what they do as well too, I call it a double tap, where they come down, they hit price once on the low end, and they come back down and just run the low by like a pip or two, and then scream the thing higher. Again, I'm not necessarily bearish on the US dollar. Right? I've kind of talked about my ideas here, why I think we're going to go higher, but we're kind of at a pretty significant point right now where they may want to take price. So yeah, again, I apologize, guys. I know it's not the most exciting trading session, but I don't want to be putting you into anything that is going to reverse. And sometimes, you know, if it's not jumping out on the chart at me, it means it's not a clear signal, and it means you don't want to be trading it. You know, like this right in here, I'm not fully convinced. You know, this right in here, I'm not fully convinced that we're, you know, going to totally rip down lower. If price had to close a little bit lower than this, I think then that would have been it, and we would have seen price roll lower, and I would have said, yeah, this is going to be our next target down here, the 89.30. But it's not really doing that, is it? Let me rip over to this crude oil chart here real quick. If there's any crude oil traders, price wick down here, running higher. I think personally, I think that, you know, Jesus, these guys in this level up in here, I think they're going to want to bring price up higher on crude oil, but price, it's got to break through this candle here in order to get up there, and so the 63.50 has to get broken in my opinion. Really not much of a trade here that I'm too interested in. If price comes down and rejects off of this high here, that could be potentially a long entry, and I'm going to be watching for that one here. I'm not going to watch that right this second, but you can see prices just had a willingness to trade higher, trade higher, trade higher. So I'd be interested to see if they want to take price down to this level here and potentially get a run. It could even be this level here, one of these two levels. I would have liked it if they would have came down a little bit lower, but we'll see. Price just stabbed down in there, so it could continue a bit lower here. But I'm going to watch crude oil. For all of you guys who are here today, members in the F45 Trade Signals members area, what I'm asking, do you get live instant updates to your Telegram? Because I don't know that we're going to see a trade set up during this live session here right now, so I'd want to be putting out a trade here as I see price develop a little bit further. Again, you can see what this is doing. Like, it's just not wanting to necessarily go higher, rejecting quite a bit, but the Euro USD is just, it's not seeing that rejection. Price is just consolidating right now. Really, it's not doing much. In terms of commodities, nothing on copper that I like. This is way past the point. Coffee showed a little bit of strength in here. Potential failure swing, a little bit of strength. And price is kind of just sitting sideways right now. Not a ton going on here that I really like. Could get higher, but I'd have to look into this a little bit further. I don't want to see price break down much from there, and this was kind of a candle that was interesting. I figured they would have taken this higher, but we'll see what happens there. Come back to that one. Cotton, I wanted to see a deeper pullback. It did pull back here, but I didn't get a long off. And this was last week. It would have been a nice area to get long. I was calling this longer. When price was coming back down in here, I said price should reject. It did that, but it just didn't. It just took forever to get down there, and to be honest with you, I missed the day. I missed this day here, and then I wanting to see a trade back down to this level in here, and it didn't give it to me. It just gave me one tiny little reversal candle, and then price exploded up again. Don't want to be chasing moves either, and I definitely want to avoid doing that. So, and this didn't get back and retrace as deep as I wanted it to, unfortunately, and it just screamed higher again from there. So missed that trade. It happens, but there's lots of trades to take. So if you miss one, there's always another one coming. Nothing here on sugar and orange juice. orange juice has kind of come in and hit a very interesting area, these old highs back in here, so we could see a potential bounce on orange juice. And I actually kind of like what it's doing here today. It's come up, it traded higher on Monday, traded softer overnight, and then rejected here. Ooh, could start to see higher prices from here, so I might actually even put a trade out on this one, which is kind of interesting. At an interesting level, and I'd be looking for price up and to get up to this level for my first target, and then price to get higher into these levels in here longer term. So that's a nice, see this candle here, this is a nice candle. I like to see that because I believe we are going to go higher on this market. Orange juice comes into an area of bullishness for seasonality here fairly quickly, so very interesting to come back to that one. If you guys are members of our website, watch for a signal coming out on orange juice, because I think I'm going to put one out here shortly. I just want to see if price wants to come down a little bit further than what it's doing right now. So you see this candle explode right here. I'm going to go down to 15 and get rid of these stupid day dividers. And you know, it's even done that right there. See how prices come out here. Traded back into the old highs down here. And these old highs. Let me get rid of this. See how prices traded back down on these old two highs right here, and then has rejected. I think we could see higher prices on this. So I'm going to put out a signal on this one, I think. And what I'd like to see, this isn't going to be a short-term trade. I think this is going to be a longer-term trade. So these highs in here for sure, this high, and then this low, this consolidation area in here. Long term, I think that's going to be a nice target. Call it 1.5, big number right there. 150. Short term, like for instance, like just like kind of like a day trade. 144. Maybe not that low or that high. I mean, that's 143.78. 143, you call it 143.80, somewhere around there. That'd be a nice sort of little day trade there. And price could just expand, and it could just start ripping higher as well too. But we've seen some nice rejection right there, which is what I wanted to see. I thought I wanted to see if price wanted to come down a little bit further, but it really based right here and rejected and created a nice area of support. If you guys aren't orange juice traders, I apologize. There are a few commodity traders out there that do watch this pretty closely. I am a commodity trader, and I do like to see this. This is perfect right here. It's kind of like a price consolidates, breaks out, retests, and then you get long. That's kind of the idea that we're looking at here. So I'm just going to watch. There's no rush on this. I'm going to watch price develop a little bit first, and then I'll probably be issuing a trade on that. Look at the rejection we've seen on the US dollar. Price really does not want to pick a direction right now, does it? Look at the rejection. Here we go. This is what I want to start seeing. This is what I want to start seeing. Okay. What are we doing on the CAD? Get rid of this. Get rid of that. This is what we wanted to see right here, guys. That's what I'd like to see. Perfect. Okay. So now I just want to choose and see which is going to see the strength today. I don't think I want to do anything on the euro. I don't really like that. The pound dollar shows a little bit more leadership to the downside. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, I just had a call come in. So the pound dollar is showing a lot more leadership right now, in my opinion, than the euro. Okay, so let's do this. The CAD, I like the CAD. Aussie starting to break down as well too. See how it kind of did that sort of retest and then drop. Kind of like that as well too. Okay, so let's do this. Let me flip over. 1 second here. Give me just 1 second, guys. Okay, just gotta pull up make sure this is the right account. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna do a failure. I like that. I'm just comparing data feeds on these, because you got to make sure you're working at the right. All brokers obviously have different price levels, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm looking on the right data feed here, because I have been fooled in the past. Okay, so I like how price broke the lows here, the US dollar. I'm just going to flip back here to my other chart and actually just bring this guy up here to another screen so I can watch price a couple different levels here. US dollar retesting these old highs. So pound dollar. So what I'm looking at here, guys, is ultimately I'd like to see these equal lows here taken out. That's not going to happen today. It could happen today, I guess. But I'd like to for sure be taking some profits. So what I'm thinking here is a short idea, obviously. I'd like to be taking some profits right here, which is at 30 pips from current entry. So if we went short right now, we would be looking at that as a target. So I'm going to put a small trade in here, and let's see what happens. I'm going to put my stop in. I'm going to give this, I don't want to see price go any higher than, see the two equal highs right here. I don't want to see price go and trade, reverse back up from here and trade any higher than that. So I'm going to run the stop fairly tight up in here. I might even take it right above this candle high there. That comes in at 39.20. It's about a 30 pip stop, which is typically what I typically run. 39.20. Oh, and I'm too close to price right now. That's not giving it to me for some reason. Oh, might help if I was actually doing the the right one. 138. This is the one I was looking for. 139.20. Okay. Okay. So these are our levels. And this, like I say, I'm just going to squeak this just above that a little bit, just in case they want to just run up and run that high there. Now, hopefully we're not selling short rates, on the low of the swing and then price runs higher. That is an option as well too. So obviously this is all in a demo account. There's no live funds being traded here. This is not a real account. So I'm just doing a demo just for educational purposes only, for disclosure's sake, just so you guys know. But I'm looking at this. If price wants to trade down to the 138.60 level, that would be where I'm going to take partial profits. So what I'd be doing here is I've got, you know, a half a lot on here in this demo account that I'd be taking. What I would do is when price traded down to here, then I would be partially closing some of the trade. And you do that, just in case you guys don't know, you just double click on your order, go to market execution, and then you can change the sizes. So you can take off a little bit of profit here and there. What I would typically do on something like that, so if I've got a half a lot, I would take off probably 0.2, 2 minis, and then you just click close, and then you've got 3 minis left on the trade, and then that's what I would let ride down to here for my second take profit. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. I'm going to post this chart up. Give me 1 second. Again, if you're part of our signal session, you get instant live trades, so you don't have to sit through this. One. And I'd love to sit here and watch trade develop with you guys for today, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that. With you for too much longer. I'm going to have to call it a session here pretty quick. And then this is obviously my stop up here. So I'll watch for price trade on that. So that was kind of the you know, again, I could be selling at the low here and it could push higher. I mean, that is an option, but I wanted to see price convincingly break this level here. I also could have waited for price to trade up a little bit higher into here and then got short, which is ideal, but we're only talking a matter of about 5 or 6 pips, so it doesn't really make too big of a difference to me. And sometimes you get those runners where it drops and then you never get an opportunity to get in. So there's that option as well too. So you just kind of got to pick and choose, just depending on how aggressive you are trading wise. What would I give it at 90, 93-ish? And then my stop is at 92.20. This one here is 92.22. So just got to take a quick screen capture for all of everybody in here. 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I just have to type out some quick instructions here. Sorry about that, folks. I just had to write out some instructions here. Where are we? Okay. Okay, so yeah, our short entry. 138, 93. Whoops, forgot to do that. Sorry guys, one second, I'm just gotta modify something quick. $8.60 is our target one. Is that 139.22? Okay, there we go. And remember, again, like I say, always make sure if price trades down to here, it could reverse and go higher, so there is that option. I don't know what it's going to do technically. I'm just going off of what I see here in price. I like lower. Make sure you're taking, and this is plus 30 pips from our current entry level. Make sure you are taking profits off right here. And once you do that, this is very key as well too. Once you take your profits right here, take your stop loss and move it to break even. And then no matter what happens, if price decides to reject off of this level and run higher and it takes out your stop, you know, you're not losing any money. You're always banking something. That's very, very key. I mean, yes, it's a fraction of your position, but it sure as hell beats sitting there watching 30 pips come up and looking at you know, what you have in profit, and then for them just to reverse it and run your stop if they want to go higher. So nothing's worse than sitting, you know, with a positive balance on your trade, and then for them to take that away from you and then end up taking some of your money, you know, as well too. So you always for trade management, take profits off at specific intervals. You know, kind of like easy targets to get. You take profits and then you know, move your stop to break even, and no matter what, they can't take that away from you. So very important to do that for trade management. 138.60. Okay, good enough. Let's see. US dollar index so far is pushing up. So far, I want to see. I don't want to see price reject much anymore from the current level. I want to see it continue higher from where it's at. So, and the other thing here too, guys, is I'm not going to stick around for very much longer. I'm going to give it about another 5 minutes or so. I'm going to watch price develop with you here for another minute or two, and then I'm going to get going. I just wanted to see if we could get a trade off today. We've done that. Look at a nice rejection on US CAD here as well too. That's awesome to see that. You see that's perfect. This is the perfect entry. This is what we look at, right here. That's what I like to see. So far so good. Price is stabbing down here, looking for price to finish higher on the day. Tuesday creating the low of the week, and then I want to see price trade higher consecutively for the rest of the week, if that's going to happen. Again, non-farm numbers on Friday, so that could throw a monkey wrench into everything. You never know what it's going to do. Gold, oil. Oil fell off. So this is why you got to watch price at these specific points, like what I was saying it before. Anyway, that's oil. So I'll stick around with you guys here for a few minutes, but I'm going to call it a day here pretty quick. Like I said, I got to get on with my day, and I'm sure you guys do as well, and you don't need to sit here and listen to me yammering on about pretty much nothing. So we'll just watch this trade develop. Again, if you are not part of our group, make sure you save these levels here. Take some profits right here. We're looking for price to run these lows down here. Could potentially get there today. I don't know. Might be tomorrow. I wouldn't necessarily suggest holding this trade overnight. I would say that if price gets lower than here, I would maybe even just take full profits. If it gets into here type of thing, I would just maybe take full profits, and depending on the time of day. So if it's, what are we, 9:40 New York time, 10, 11. So if it gets to be about 12:30, 1 o'clock New York time, and price hasn't come down past here very much, I would close the trade because it's getting kind of late in the day, and I wouldn't want to see, I would kind of think that price is then going to just sit sideways and go into the Asian range like that, and probably not get any lower. So I would suggest you closing the trade at whatever profit you're at, and sitting on the sidelines until tomorrow. And I'll probably put another signal for it, or that could be moving the Euro USD. That could be an option as well too. Let's go to the Euro. But I would suggest that in terms of time, exit your trade if it gets to be about noon to 12:30 New York time, and price really hasn't done much and gone anywhere lower than here. Take your profits and just sit on the sidelines. But if price really wants to start screaming down, it's going to hopefully start doing it here pretty quick, and we'll maybe see these taken out here. So we'll watch that develop. And again, like I said, unfortunately, if you're not a member of F45 Trading, you won't get the live instant updates directly to your phone to remind you of that, so you're going to have to kind of sit and watch price a little bit, unfortunately, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. Not a whole bunch else that I want to discuss, so if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask them. If not, I am going to run because I got other things I got to get done today. So thanks for putting in the time. A little bit of a longer session today. It was about an hour and 40 minutes. Well, about an hour and a half. I guess I took a few minutes to get started there in the morning. So not too bad. In terms of time-wise, it's typically what I run my sessions, about an hour to an hour and a half. So I'm kind of right about there. Just so you know, there will be another live trading session starting, what day are we? Tuesday today. There will be another live session for London Open at midnight New York time. Our analyst out of the UK is going to jump on, and he'll be discussing and probably looking at the Euro. He typically trades the Euro USD. So he'll be looking at some trades there, and US CAD, if there's anything there, he'll probably be looking at that. And maybe even the yen. He likes to trade the yen pairs as well too, so he might look at the yen and all that good stuff. So that's interesting. Pound yen. This thing is an animal when it gets going. Come on, give me this. It's not giving it to me. Kind of interested to see if price wants to trade up to one of these two areas and one of these areas. So far it's rejected off of this level here. We could see lower prices on this. That's kind of an area that I like right there. But I'm going to get him to discuss this with you, because this is more his pair, but that's kind of interesting. Could be a lot of price trading at currently. 147.20, 147, 143. That's potentially a 400 pip range, if price wants to continue down there, but seeing some nice rejection so far at those levels. It's interesting. Equal lows down here for the most part. Now a bit of a failure swing. I failed to get down to there. You kind of got to watch it. You may want to trade higher. This level here is kind of a nice open level of price action where I think it could be a draw on price, so we could see a bounce higher. But that's interesting. Anyway, I'll get him to have a chat about that for our London session tomorrow. And then after the London session, there will be one New York session tomorrow morning. Our other analyst, Dave, is going to jump on, and he's going to be talking about and trading the S&P 500, gold, and look at gold. Man, some of our members might even be getting a signal on gold here pretty soon as well too. And the UJ as well too, he trades, so you may get some insight on that for the New York. So same time, same place tomorrow morning for the New York session. S&P, gold, and UJ will be traded, and like I say, London Open, Euro USD, US CAD, and a couple other yen pairs will be looked at. So you can expect that. And thanks for coming in, guys, today. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you got a little bit of value out of what we're doing here, and got a little insight into the markets. I know it was a little bit slow. I apologize. Sometimes you just, it is what it is. One more look at the USD. So far, we've failed to take out that low right there. So I don't know if this is going to be a failure swing. Again, keep an eye on price here. If it doesn't want to start rejecting higher, I've got the stop up here at 139.20. That's a full stop out. That's a full 30 pip stop if it does hit that. I would suggest though that if price starts coming in around the mid range of this and wants to keep pushing higher, I would probably exit this trade before it got up to the 139.20. So if it got up to like 139.10, then I would probably look at maybe collapsing the trade. I'll tell you what, if price gets higher than 139.05, take some off of the trade. Take off maybe half of the trade. So just collapse half the trade, and then you can watch and see price develop from there. Just to be safe, just to preserve your capital, because again, trading is all about capital preservation. So I would suggest possibly doing that, and then just let the trade ride and do what it's going to do. I was hoping price was going to push down a little bit lower than what it's doing right now, which kind of leads me to believe maybe it's just a suspect drop, and we could continue higher. But again, I'm on here, I'm second guessing myself, so that's the time to get off. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Thanks very much for joining, appreciate that, and we will see you tomorrow for the London Open session at 12 a.m. New York time, and then again for the New York session tomorrow at